Alright, so you're gonna let the garlic, onions, and pasta fry in the oil for a little bit. Make sure to move it around so one doesn't get too burnt. And then while that's frying, you're gonna want to blend up all the tomatoes, 2 garlic cloves, and about a quarter of a head of onions. You're gonna want to put some water in there to let it blend up. Then you blend it. In the original recipe, it calls for 2 tablespoons of this. For the modification that we're going to be doing, we're only going to use a quarter of that, and we're going to go with half a teaspoon. You can put that in there, blend it again. This is going to be the basic broth for the soup. And another modification that I did for this, it's called hot dog soup, but for the modification, we're gonna use chicken instead. Once the noodles and onions and garlic gets nice and brown, you're gonna throw the chicken in there, let it cook. And I also cut the chicken in about 1-inch cubes. And you can let that go for a while. For our modifications that I did, one tablespoon of this chicken flavoring is 10 calories and contains 870 milligrams of sodium. And the original recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. This recipe that I'm doing, I only used a quarter of that and went with half a tablespoon. And the hot dogs come with 470 calories per cup with 470 milligrams of sodium as well. And the chicken that we're using is 120 calories per 4 ounces of chicken, which is what I used. And that has 200 milligrams of sodium, which is less than half of the hot dogs. Once you see the chicken is cooked well enough, we're going to throw in the chicken broth and then the cilantro at the end. Usually when my mom makes this, I feel it's a little salty. That's why I chose to make this recipe, because I really like it, but I would like to have it with less salt, and this is the first time me ever making it with less salt. And chicken for that matter. Alright, once that's ready, you're going to throw the broth in there. Stir that up a little bit. And frying the noodles isn't really, I guess, the first way you would cook pasta, but my mom does it because if you fry it with garlic and onions, it captures a lot more of the flavors that way. Alright, you're going to take about the same amount of broth you put in there of just water to make it actual soup. You might need a little more. Also, another modification that I did, instead of using canola oil, I used extra virgin olive oil. It's healthier. And then you're just going to stir that around. Until you feel that the noodles are tender enough to eat. Also, you throw in the cilantro. And you're gonna let that cook for about 10-15 minutes, covered. And then we're gonna come back and test the two recipes and see which one's better.